My name is Dr. Matthew Olson. I'm part of the Educational Leadership faculty in the Department of Leadership, School Counseling, and Sport Management. My first experience as an educator using video conferencing is back in 1999 in an urban school, high-poverty urban school in the Boston Public Schools. And we had the opportunity to have our 28 students huddle around one computer with one little webcam, and we did a video conferencing session with the scientists from the Jacques Cousteau Foundation, and they were working with saving the whale from Free Willy. If any of you remember the movie Keiko, the Free Willy movies. And 15 years, 16 years later, I still have students commenting to me about that experience. That 1 month that we did that activity and had the opportunity to communicate with scientists in Iceland using this grainy video over a terrible internet connection because, you know, the internet was brand new at that time in the school setting. And 15, 16 years later, they still remember that. Because for those students, many had never even left the city of Boston. For those students, that brought the world to their classroom. That brought the world to them. And that's something I will never remember, and I know they won't either. So fast forward to UNF in 2015. The goal for my class, each and every one of my classes, is to create a rigorous, relevant, and engaging classroom experience. And I actually have one of my students here, and so he might be giving me the thumbs down saying you've got one or two of those, but not all three. Okay? Throughout my classes, I try to have those three ingrained into everything we do. And one of the things that we're seeing is that in educational leadership and educational policy, the policies and the transitions and the changes happening faster than our textbooks can be created, our peer-reviewed journals can get out there, okay? So many of the resources that I'm able to give my students many times are outdated. So what we need to do, and what I've tried to do, is to allow my students to have access to the folks that are making those policy changes, the folks that are knee-deep in Tallahassee in terms of Common Core, Florida standards, at the federal level, at the national level in terms of, you know, what's happening in different states. So how can we do that? How can we do that in a way that matches the logistics and schedules of these folks that are the policymakers? How can we do that in a way that is cost effective? Through video conferencing. Okay? So why video conferencing? Okay? The research shows that type of engagement, that type of rigor, that type of communication opportunity is something that does work. Okay? But beyond the research, okay, let's put it into practice. In one of my classes, we had the opportunity to talk about educational policy. Educational policy is something that is impacting what's happening here at UNF, what's happening in each and every classroom within Duval County. Okay? What we're able to do is have Ed Spencer, former VP of Student Affairs at Virginia Tech, talk to my students about educational policy. Rather than hearing it in a textbook, a journal article, my students were able to talk to the person who went through the Virginia Tech shootings, who changed policy and evaluated policy with the state governor after that tragedy. So my students could learn firsthand about crisis management, crisis leadership, and the impact policy can have on current and future endeavors. My current class, my Leading Change class, is working with the change agent, Brian Setzer, who is working with everyone from the Gates Foundation to more than 14 different state agencies in terms of leading educational change. So rather than hearing it from me, rather than hearing it just from an article, my students are hearing it from folks who are on the ground, in the weeds, and talking about the successes and challenges that they are going through in terms of their world and educational change. So what's next? Okay, where are we going next? We are actually piloting a new program starting in the spring called Camp Osprey, which stands for Collegiate Achievement Mentoring Program, where students from UNF are serving as mentors to students not only in the Jacksonville community with face-to-face mentoring, but we're harnessing that video conferencing technology to do virtual mentoring, where students from UNF are connecting with students in North Carolina, Miami-Dade County, okay, and Tallahassee. So one of the things we'd love to see, okay, is input from this greater community. How can we expand that? How can we expand that to global connections? How can we expand that to the relationships that you have developed, okay, to harness this opportunity to use video technology and video conferencing to truly bring the world to campus and the students here in this campus to the world?